Hey, we're back on another Cadillac video. So I replaced the spark plugs and ignition coils on this, and I still had a misfire on cylinder 1. So the only other option was to change the injector on cylinder 1. Well, after I put all of it back together, cylinder 6 started misfiring really bad. And when I cut the car off and took the intake back off, I could hear cylinder 6 just spraying. So this is cylinder 1, 3, and 5. This is cylinder 2, 4, and 6. This is a GM 3.0. The 3.6s would be the same. So the backside up against the firewall is positive or negative numbers. The side against the grill is positive numbers. If this whole engine was rotated to where it was rear-wheel drive, the ones on the passenger side would be the negative numbers and the ones on the driver's side would be positive numbers. So that would be bank 1, bank 2. So anyways, I'm giving this guy my price on the injectors because I can't see anybody being able to afford 6 of these things. At my cost, they are $85 a piece. At customer walk-in cost would be, I don't remember, like $146.99 a piece. It was ridiculous. So for 8 of them, it would be, or 6 of them, it would be over $1,000. I don't know if my math is mathing properly, but let's see, 2 would be right at 300, so $900. Right at. After tax, it would be slightly more than $900, but nevertheless. So I replaced cylinder 1's injector, which is down in that hole there, that one. And then cylinder 6 is back. You can't even see cylinder 6. You can see the edge of it there a little bit. But that's the least of the concern. Just showing the cylinders is not the problem. The problem is getting these things in and out. This is the biggest pain in the butt GM could have ever come up with. This is like a 60-degree V6. So the cylinder heads are really close together. As you can see, it's not even 2 fingers width right there in between the 2 intake ports. So in order to get the injectors out, that was the easy part. Getting them back in was a pain in the neck. So the front side was the last one that I took out, but the front side was the first one that I put back in. And then on the back side, they're supposed to have these cutouts, but this one did not have said cutouts. So you can see a notch, maybe. Let's go in a little bit further. You can see that notch there. So I made that notch. Most of these V6s come with those notches already on both front and rear side, because that center injector sticks up almost 3/4 of an inch further than the first and the last injectors. After you put the front side in, there's no way you can get that back one in without having that notch in there. So I used a hammer and a chisel and I knocked that section out. That's not going to affect any sealing whatsoever. So after you get the section knocked out of there, you're going to want to put the first set of injectors in on bank 2 side, which is 2, 4, and 6. Go ahead and seat those all the way in. What I did, which may have made it a little bit easier on myself, is put one of the end bolts in. That way it would supply tension down enough so whenever I moved the rest of the rail by accident or whatever, it wouldn't cause it to get in the way enough to be in the way. So after you bolt down the front injectors, RTV glue back there, I haven't used RTV glue at all. But after you bolt down the front set of injectors, and knock that back out. The back literally slides down the groove. You put the first injector in here, in between 3 and 5. You work it down, then you put the center injector through, and then the last injector just drops down in the hole. You start down here at the end, you get your end one lined up, you slide that one right there in that groove. Let's see, you can't see that, can you? You slide this one right here in through that groove, and it just drops into place. The first time that I took these out, I fought to be able to get them out and get them back in. I couldn't get them back in, honestly. I had to take the front rail out to be able to get the back one in. Then when I got the back one in, I couldn't put the front one in. But with that notch being knocked in there, it made the world of difference. So you put those back in, you tighten them down, make sure your connectors are connected properly. You don't have to have any special tools to be able to do this with, although they say you got to have this press to be able to press the clips off and on. No, you don't. Don't go spending $300 on a tool that you don't need. The only thing that I know that you will need for sure is a fuel line disconnect tool, which this one is the one that I have. It's spring loaded. It's from AutoZone. It's 5/16. It literally slips over the line. Press it in on, you can see the fuel line there. Press it into the line, push the fuel line back in towards it, push this in again, and it slides right off. The fuel delivery line, they tell you that you can't use it again, but that's a lie. I've already used about 30 of them. That part by itself, my cost is $74. And GM just tried everything they possibly could to make you spend money unnecessarily. When you get the fuel rails put back in, you want to go ahead and do your fuel delivery lines. That is going to be the main feed line here that connects to the bottom side of the fuel pump, the high pressure fuel pump. And then you have your crossover lines, fuel delivery lines, that go in there just like that. Those are 17 millimeter hex that tighten those up. This end sits on top of there, tightens down. The other two just connect to the rail. Then you have a fuel pressure sensor that gets connected via the there's a plug somewhere for that. Pretty sure it was this one. After you connect all that up, you want to long press the start button. After everything is put back together, long press the start button inside the vehicle to be able to turn the ignition switch on. It'll prime the whole entire system. Turn the key off, long press it again, and that should fully prime the injectors. But the first initial revolutions, it will take a few seconds because that pressure only comes up to the bottom side of this high pressure fuel pump. So technically in the beginning I did tell you wrong. It doesn't prime the fuel injectors, it only primes the pump. The pump doesn't start moving until the engine is turned over. Let's see, what am I forgetting here? After you turn it over and get it started up, you want to go in and clear all the codes. Of course, you want to be turned off whenever you do that. That way it doesn't trigger any more codes, or doesn't say you have to have the vehicle off in order to do this function, which my scanner has done. So if you like the video and find it helpful, give me a like and follow. Thanks.